Pokemon Red and Blue, where it all started. Without these games, we wouldn't have, well, Pokemon. And I can't imagine my life without Pokemon. This franchise means so much to me, as you could probably guess by the fact that I made a whole channel about it. One of the things I always wish Nintendo games had that other consoles do are achievements. And we're coming up on the Switch too, and it looks like that still probably won't be a thing. Don't get me wrong, I love playing a game normally, but there's something about a journey through a game, working on tasks as you go. I love it. Well, today, ladies and gents, that dream becomes reality, as we can finally get achievements in all of our retro games with RetroAchievements. This is a website that allows you to track achievements as you play through the game. So for Pokemon Red and Blue, these achievements are merged into one set, and we have a total of 93 achievements with 22 missable achievements in that mix. So we gotta be careful, or we're going to be playing these games twice. None of these are insanely hard, they're more tedious than anything else. And a lot of these are just basic Pokemon stuff, like catching every Pokemon you can within the game, not including trades and exclusives. I start my journey off like you usually do, talking to the professor, and he forgets his own grandson's name, which is crazy. This guy can probably name all 151 Pokemon without missing a beat. His name is Loser, I promise. Yeah, be patient, Loser. You are a loser after all. I naturally picked the best starter there is. Don't freaking say Charmander. It's Retro achievements are pretty cool as it tracks your progress for certain achievements, such as getting every Pokemon in the game. We're almost there, guys. Subscribe, the journey will last longer. After pummeling a fire type with our grass type, we head on to the first route, where ironically, we can get our first achievement from getting the free potion from the clerk. I love that there's art for these achievements as well. By the way, I am so sorry that I didn't use the colored versions of these games or put a filter on, so you're just gonna have to deal with seeing gray for the whole video. It's okay, gives it that nostalgia factor. After getting the parcel for Oak, that unlocks Journey Started for getting the Pokedex. And directly after, we get one for getting the map from Loser's sister. The next achievement we actually need to do some work for, as it's our first missable. We need to get Pokeballs that Professor Oak gifts us, but in order to activate this achievement, we need to defeat Gary before heading on or buying any Pokeballs. So we grind Sprout up mass murdering rats and birds with leaves until we reach level 12, where hopefully we can win. I can't really go past this level, as one of the main achievements to this game involves level caps, and the level cap for Brock is level 14. Luckily, Sprout does get Leech Seed, and Gus from Pidgey doesn't do too much to us. Despite this, I didn't get it on my first attempt, as Pidgey also has Sand Attack, making this even more annoying. As long as we don't miss, we should be in the clear. So next attempt, Pidgey is down fairly quickly, and there was no way we were gonna lose. But this was much close than I thought, as Sprout straight up started missing, and on top of that, his Charmander got a bunch of crits, and because I did so well against Pidgey, I didn't actually set up Leech Seed until now. I didn't think I needed it. So safe to say, I'm already annoyed, and I've barely started this run. Luckily, it was only one more attempt, and on we went to claim our free Pokeballs from Grandpa himself. Also, evolving Sprout here would also void this achievement, but again, level caps are a thing, so that wouldn't happen anyways. Throughout this journey, I did go ahead and catch Pokemon as I went, just to make everything a little bit easier towards the end. I'm very disappointed there's no achievement for completing the catching tutorial. This should be a given. This next type of achievement is one that you just go around a certain location, in this case Viridian Forest, and collect everything in sight and out of sight, as hidden items count for this as well. And we battle every trainer. So once we do that, we get Setting the Forest Ablaze. Paired with this is Anybody Home, where we basically just need to go from the start of Viridian Forest to the end without encountering a single Pokemon in the grass. You can't use repels for this anyways, so might as well knock it out now while we're here. This was so annoying. There were times where I got so close to the exit just to encounter a fucking Weedle. Anyways, once that was done, we moved on to Pewter City to take on our first gym. Hey Brock, you're not gonna get any girls looking like that, bro. We all know Bulbasaur is the man when it comes to Kanto starters, so as fast as I entered this gym was as fast as I left. From now on, we'll always get 2 achievements for completing gyms. The one for completing it at a certain level cap under the set mode battle style, and another one for obtaining the badge. On the way to Mount Moon while fighting every trainer in sight, we unlock another achievement, preparing to be the very best, which is just having 6 Pokemon in our arsenal. By the way, that's another achievement, fighting every single overworld trainer that isn't missable in the game. And there's a lot of them, as well as every item that's not missable and every TM that's not missable. And I'm being very careful as I go through the overworld, because as for the items, that includes every single hidden item in the game as well. One cool achievement is Anti-Darwinism, which, as the name states, is for prohibiting a Pokemon from its natural evolution. You will stay inferior forever, Weedle, and you do not have a choice, Worm. They should have casted me for the voice of Conquest. I'm just saying. Now, Mount Mount Moon is one of those collect them all places, so carefully going through it, we snag every item, battle every trainer, and every rocket grunt, and get to the end where we pick between one of these fossils, which yes, is a sweet, sweet achievement. Since we can only get one, we won't have to catch Kabuto for the Pokedex because there's literally no other way to. So thankfully, that's not an issue. Who would have guessed? Mount Moon has moonstones, which we need for our Nidoqueen Biddy. Once we fight the last hiker in this place, we get shoot for the moon. I kinda can't do that being in a cave though. We will get the item finder later, but as you can see, I was scouring every single tile as I wasn't using any guides unless I absolutely needed to. I'll search things up and stuff, but I'm not gonna use an exact one-to-one guide. Before we take on our next gym, we do of course have to take on this loser once more, and Ash was taking names in this fight, and with Biddy on our side, this man stood zero chance. Then we just helped Bill out as he was almost cursed to be a Clefairy for the rest of his life. Could you imagine being a Clefairy for the rest of your life? I think I'd kill. After that, I made sure to finish everyone off on Route 25. Have you guys ever played Pokemon with earbuds in? Because I am, and holy crap, the layer to the soundtracks are just amazing. I did have to do some grinding before Misty, but that wasn't as bad as some of the grinding for different things later on. Ash is of course my choice for Misty, just to spite her. And man, if you think Scarlet and Violet are easy, try Gen 1. It's just Ash Misty. After defeating her, I decided I wanted to go use an Abra on my team, and this thing was super annoying to catch because, as you may already know, it only knows one move, teleport. So every time I'd find it and didn't catch it on the first try, it was bye-bye to that Abra. I had to catch this thing later anyway, so I didn't give up, and eventually, David was ours. I wanted Abra because Alakazam and Psychic types in general are broken in this gen, and pair that with crits being based on speed, the thing is golden. And I never get to use Trade Evos. But as I mentioned before, Trade Evos don't count for the Catch 'em All achievement. But Jules, you could still just use Alakazam anyways. No, I literally cannot, as trading from another game will void this achievement, which really blows because I can actually trade with my Anbernic devices. But yeah, I'm just locked out of that. Regardless, Kadabra will do. Also, speaking of trading, the in-game trades are okay as they have their own dedicated achievement. Kadabra for this point in the game is still very good though. I mean, he was soloing everyone on the next route and on the SSN with confusion. Now, one very annoying thing about Red and Blue is bag space. This won't be the only time I do this. Basically, before hopping on the SSN, I want to make sure I have enough space to snag every item to get the achievement, or else it'll be very annoying, or who knows, I might toss something I need later. So safest bet is to just throw everything in the PC and head on to the ship afterwards. Now, I could have swore that you get locked on the SSN, but I don't think this is actually true. Still, putting things away in the PC is useful later on. First things first, we talk to the old man so he can tell us about the sleeping giant Snorlax. Then, of course, we're battling everyone on the ship, which might cause this to be Titanic too. And once all that's done, we gotta get the HM for cut, but first, another rival fight. Ash again just demolishes the loser due to really bad AI. Like, why is Kadabra just using teleport? I think your Pokemon won out of this fight, man. Don't be a Paul. Once we get the HM for cut, another achievement pops, and if you don't do everything here, that's it. That is definitely missable. That ship ain't coming back. Lieutenant Surge is our next gym fight, and this gym puzzle irks me. I literally could not get the second switch right after hitting the first one. This shit was annoying. I don't remember it being this annoying. Worth mentioning, gym trainers are missable, so they don't count for battling every trainer in Kanto. That took me way too long. Now, despite me having a ground type, I don't have a ground type move, and this was just how older games were, so instead, I'm using Body Slam. At the very least, the typing helps Biddy since she's immune to all of his Thunder Shocks. 2 more achievements down and on to the next. Did you know that you can use the HM cut to cut the overworld grass? Time to go around Kento starting a lawn care business. Screw being the champion. Normally, I wouldn't care about the HM Flash because I'm a beast and I don't need that shit for Rock Tunnel, but it is an achievement, so I do in fact need it this time around. While I was in the area, I did go ahead and catch all the Pokemon in Viridian Forest for no other reason than because I can. Here, I'm switch training Mario the Paris. I'm assuming because I wanted the item finder, so it'd be easier to hunt hidden items. And in order to get the item finder, we need to catch 30 Pokemon. But not only that, it's a sweet achievement. What's also an achievement is obtaining the bike. I like to ride it. Whoa there, Red. Let's not get carried away now. The bike is huge in this game, as you don't actually get running shoes, and while I do use speed up, I like not using speed up as well for certain aspects of the game. With that, we headed over to Rock Tunnel to go and collect every item in there. Okay, not true. There is no do it all in here achievement for Rock Tunnel, which I find surprising. Okay, holy crap. I completely forgot that they just don't give you a circle to see what's near you. You absolutely need Flash. We didn't have it easy in 1996, did we? And by we, I don't mean me. That's the year my older brother was born. He used to tell me when we were kids that everything was great until I came along. It's a canon event. Don't judge him. Sleep in this game is terribly broken. How in the world does an Execute beat a Pidgeotto? All Pidgeotto had to do was succumb to its natural instincts. Although I don't think they get the tingle for eggs, since they're the ones that produce it. I mean, they even did a decent chunk to Biddy with this strat. Meanwhile, Gyarados couldn't even get a hit off. The Pokemon Tower is gonna have to wait though, as I made my way towards Celadon City, where I was using the item finder pretty much every couple of steps. It's pretty annoying, but if it saves me time later, so be it. Another achievement is getting every gift Pokemon in Kanto, so this Eevee counts for that. I did make sure to buy a Pokédoll while being here, as we need it shortly, as well as stones for evolutions later. I'm on vacation with my boyfriend and brother. You are not wanted here, little bro. Trust me. In Celadon City, we have the Game Corner, and the Game Corner is home to 6 whole achievements. We were going to be spending a lot of time in here. For now though, if we grab all 14 stacks of coins on the ground, we unlock Pleading Face. Getting a bar is pretty easy, so I did that one real quick, and that was about as much as I wanted to do right now. So I moved on to get the HM for Fly to the route left of the city. And now we can fly anywhere we'd like, but it's also super useful for Pecker against Erica's grass types. Speaking of more broken moves, Wrap is also a thing. When you're wrapped in Gen 1, you literally cannot attack until you are freed. Pecker should not be less than half of his health. And to make things worse, we got put to sleep. Way to cheap out, Erica. David was the one who had to finish this off. With Pecker's terrible performance, I decided I was going to get a true flying type Pokemon. One that shouldn't even be able to fly, Doduo. I named him Twin for obvious reasons, and I think I've used Dodrio once, so this should be good. With the lemonade I bought in Celadon department store, I give it to the guard blocking the entrance to Saffron City and pass through to get all the way back to the Pokemon Tower, where this Pokédoll we bought comes in handy. I didn't actually know you could do this, but apparently you don't need the Sylph Scope, just the Pokédoll and boom, dearly beloved. It is missable, but if you do get the Sylph Scope, I think you can just box it and it's fine. Just make sure you don't use the Sylph Scope on the ghost. Once we clear out the tower, we get the Pokeflute and then stock up on lemonade since it's the best form of healing for cheap. Then with that new Pokeflute, I go catch Snorlax, which is missable as well to catch, so saving before this is advised. I actually needed to reset myself as I didn't catch it on my first attempt. There are 2 of these guys though, so unless you straight up just did not look at the achievement list, I don't know how you'd miss it. Please tell me none of you missed it. While in the Rocket Hideout, I did evolve Nuke into Electrode, who is my replacement for Ash, and Dodrio evolved as well. The Rocket Hideout is yet again another collectathon, and I was missing 2 things, one of which was Giovanni, and I had fought every other trainer, so the other thing was a hidden item, which happened to be behind Giovanni. With that, we proceed with the story, destroying the big bad boss. I mean, this guy is such a pushover. Kangaskhan is his most powerful Pokemon, and even that was no match for Sprout. There we go, raiding the vault. And getting the Sylph Scope gets us Ghostbuster. Now, one of the most annoying routes to get hidden items in was cycling road. I tried to be as patient and slow as possible here, as the road will move you on its own, and by the end of it, I apparently still missed an item, which I would notice later. On to Fuchsia City, and our starter finally evolved into Venusaur. I was trying to fish up a Starmie on the coast, but I couldn't get one, so I went to go grab the Super Rod, and that popped Froggy for getting all the rods. With the Super Rod, I was now able to get Spinner the Staryu, and this would replace Kadabra and give us a water type. I've been looking for the right binoculars to look through for the past couple of recording sessions, and I finally found it to the right of Fuchsia. Seeing Articuno flying out to sea gets us an achievement, and it turns out we get the EXP all here as well for catching 50 different types of Pokemon. Now luckily Spinner is a water type, as I was able to grind against Wild Diglett with the occasional Dugtrio in Diglett's cave. And this was to get the move Recover at level 27, because if we evolve before that, we'd be locked out of the move. So once that's done, we use our Water Stone on Spinner, and Starmie is so beautiful. I love this thing. Who's with me? From here, I take on Koga, but before that, we gotta get through his gym puzzle without thudding, which I don't know why this would be a challenge. It's not invisible. I can literally see the wall. A better achievement would be getting Lieutenant Surge's 2 switches first try. Now that would be brutal. Despite being super underleveled against Koga, this was still too easy, as with Spinner and Psychic, we were able to one-shot every Pokemon on this man's team with ease. And on we went to go get more achievements in the Safari Zone. The Safari Zone has a couple of achievements associated with it, one of them being no item left behind, meaning I had to collect every optional item in here in a single hunt. Surf doesn't count for this, but we still need it to get every other optional item past this point. So you have to make sure you bring a Surf Pokemon with you, as well as have enough space for the 11 items. A cool thing you can do here is pair these 2 achievements with a third one, but only if you're lucky. The third achievement is getting your money's worth, and this can be done by just fishing, as you don't have to move to encounter Pokemon, so your Safari hunt won't end and you can catch some easy Magikarp. Catch 10 of these guys without running out of Safari Balls, and the achievement is yours. Only problem is this fucking stupid fish are stubborn as shit and don't get in the balls. I would do good at first and then they wouldn't get in the ball later, or they wouldn't get in the ball first, so much so that I wouldn't have enough balls by the end of it when I almost got them all. There were a lot of times when I caught 8 or 9 of these guys, and because some of these dumb fish were being stubborn along the way, I'd have to reset because I ran out of Safari Balls. Eventually, I took a quick fiver to go get the HM for strength, released a bunch of these guys back in the water, and back to spending 500 bones for these stupid Magikarp. Get in the ball. Get in the ball. You're not special, bro. Get in in the bowl. There's literally a red Gyarados and Johto that at the time of this game's release didn't exist yet, but still. This took me an extremely long time, but eventually with 8 Safari Balls left in my bag. Now, I don't know why I didn't take a break after this, but I decided, hey, let's just do the last achievement while we're here, and this one was even worse than the last. This one was called Have Fun. And despite the thing's name, this was not fun. We have to catch the rarest Pokemon in the game in one emulator session, meaning I can't close out of the game, and this can obviously be screwed if you crash. So I had to leave the game on while catching them all. I don't know if resetting counts, but hey, I wasn't going to risk it. Luckily, it doesn't matter if it's multiple Safari hunts, because that would be insane to do in one. I think it would be physically impossible, as these Pokemon not only have an extremely high catch rate, but they also have a chance to run away from you. A very high chance to run away from you. And because I wasn't resetting, I had to spend $500 permanently after I caught the first Pokemon. Speaking of which, was Chansey. I think the hardest part of this is actually getting the Pokemon to show up in the grass, and it only gets harder because of my luck. At first, any of the 4 Pokemon will do, but eventually, once it's down to the last guy, I was going to be encountering all the rare ones I had already got. Now, there were certain methods you could use, like, say, Chansey you'd throw a rock at, Scyther you'd throw 2 rocks at, and then throw bait. This isn't exactly what it is, but I saw this somewhere on a Reddit post. I just don't remember the specifics for each Pokemon, and that's what I did for each one of them. Until eventually I got frustrated and just started spamming balls. Anyways, second was Scyther, third was Kangaskhan, and fourth was Tauros. Man, that Tauros was annoying. This took me more than 2 hours with speed up on. That was not fun. Again, for some reason I decided to torture myself directly after this, so we tackled the 7 grand achievement for getting all 3 sevens in the slot machines. This took 50 minutes with speed up. I did take a break before doing this next one though, which was having 9,999 coins at once, which is the max you can have at once. This one took a pretty long time because RNG, but basically you spend coins to get coins. So we were just mashing A for hours. Eventually I got very close, and this was annoying as once I got close, it would just go down. Look at how close I am. I had to save, that way if it went super down I would just reset, but this still took a lot of time. More than it should have at least. I reset like 5 times for my save. I am thinking it would have just been better to just keep mashing A, regardless if we went down. All I needed was a bar and the achievement would be mine. But no, the number just keeps going down. So rich. All for nothing because I was about to spend it all on a Scyther. I did Scyther first as we need coins to play, so I didn't want to get Porygon and have to buy the coins. Then I just bought all the small guys. And eventually, Porygon was ours. I didn't actually grind for Dratini, as I was over it by that point, so I just bought it with my own money. Crime at its finest. Oddly enough, I think it might just be easier to do E4 runs and just purchase them all since you gotta battle them anyways to do a bunch of other achievements. The next achievement was a story-based one, finally, but it's pretty interesting. Essentially, we go into Silphco, and yeah, it's a collectathon, adding opening all the doors into the mix, but I can't actually do any of that just yet, as I have to reach the rival only fighting one single Rocket Grunt. To do this, you go to the elevator, go to the 5th floor, and you can see how paranoid I am, as it is a missable, which, I don't know, nothing's really a missable if you just save, but you get what I mean. Either way, I was walking very slow. Anyways, we fight this guy, crush him, get the key card, and we need that to get to the rival. Open this door, take the warp in the room, which leads us to floor 2 or 3, I can't remember. Then we just open this guy, hit the first warp, and that's it. We don't continue as we need to obtain everything in this place, and once we do that, we fight loser with Nuke. How does a Thunderbolt not KO a Pidgeot? Pretty much Nuke destroys more than half of his team before blowing up in front of Alakazam, and Zard was down to Twin. I was missing a couple of things, like this max potion near the healing beds, which I just completely missed, and I was going insane for it, and this elixir in the plant. Nearly ripped my hair out for that. But finally, we should only be missing 2 things, and we are. This trainer before Giovanni, and the door to get to Giovanni. Hostage situation. Barely a hostage situation though, as nobody in this place stood a chance, not even Giovanni himself. For saving the entire building, the president here will give us the Master Ball, popping the greatest achievement in the game. We got the biggest balls in Kento. That would be an awesome segue into a Manscaped ad, but I'm not sponsored, so please subscribe. I'm amazed at how easy these games are. Fighting Dojo, no problem for Dodrio. And with that, we pick Hitmonlee. It doesn't matter who you choose here, but which one's your favorite? I think I like Hitmonchan better. I used to use him all the time in Stadium. Since we're right next to Sabrina's gym, we go ahead and take this route of warps to not fight a single trainer, and that will pop, yet again, another achievement. Mr. Mime is so creepy in this game. Any good physical move destroys this gym, so Twin handled it like a boss. Bronze over brains for the level cap, and of course, 1 for defeating Sabrina. They seriously need to bring arms crossed, ready to mug you, staring you down into your soul, Tentacruel back. This man is down for business. This man does not play. From here, I head to the Seafoam Islands, as with the Master Ball, I can just straight up catch Articuno, as the Master Ball cannot be used from Mewtwo due to an achievement, so any of the birds will do here. Worth mentioning, I did make Articuno freeze Spinner with Ice Beam for something that I'll mention in a second. Moving on to Cinnabar Island, I talked to one of these lab assistants for the TM from Metronome, as that's an achievement down the line as well, and revive our Dome Fossil. Also in this building, I straight up traded Ash away to complete an NPC trade. No regrets. There's 9 of these trades in the game, and another is in this building, Venonat for Tangela. Now, as I said, I froze Spinner, and this is because we have to get unfrozen for, you guessed it, another achievement. The Ponyta in the Pokemon Mansion are perfect for this, so we sent him up against one, and as soon as they use a Fire-type move, it pops. Then I just catch the thing and do yet again another trade in literally the same exact building. While in the Pokemon Mansion, we are not only looking for Blaine, but we need to read all 4 journals in here without exiting the building. It took me a while to try and find the path, despite me doing this a gazillion times in my lifetime, but once we did, you know the drill. Oddly enough, I left this place too focused on that achievement and totally forgot the secret key for the gym, which I had to go back for, and I think I hit an item that bit me in the butt later. In Blaine's gym, we have to answer all the questions right for 2000 IQ. You best believe I looked every single one of those up, even though I probably knew them all. I second-guessed myself a lot. Now, this gym was actually super hard for an infant, literally bitty swept since we have Earthquake. Rapidash's Gen 1 sprite is so elegant, and so is Arcanine's. Of course it was supposed to be a legendary. Look at this thing. It's so majestic. 2 more down, and I went to snag the old Amber real quick to revive it, and that gets us the one for all gift Pokemon. From there, I headed to the power plant to not only fill out the dex, but catch Zapdos. Yeah, you can't actually catch the birds without some type of status. I think that's how that works. Literally, I tried. The Pokeball just straight up misses. Back when legendaries felt like legendaries. Of course it's gonna dodge a Pokeball. It's a legendary. Speaking of Pokeballs, on to grab the only Pokeball inside of a gym. One of a kind, if you will. Then we just get to Giovanni without spinning on a tile, which I don't even know why that was an achievement. I've literally always taken this path when coming to this gym. Oh, Giovanni. How the hell was this fight easier than the last? I have a Starmie, but still. Taking a tiny break, I decided to go to the Pokemon Tower to catch a Haunter, but by doing this, we head back to Route 1 and encounter a Rattata which cannot touch us and we cannot touch him. So for 20 turns, none of us can damage the other because we're immune to one another. This will pop Stalemate, or it would, but apparently we have to be full health in order to do it. So with a quick trip to the Pokemon Center, we do it once more, and Stalemate. See, that is a good achievement. Continuing on with the story, I take on Loser once more, using all of my counters for each one of his Pokemon. How did Self-Destruct not kill an Alakazam? That is one special Alakazam. Once Loser is defeated, we can go through the badge check area where there are surprisingly a lot of items. While I also did a bunch of drive-bys with Pokeballs on some Pokemon in the water. And with that, we were on to Victory Road. I was on a catching spree in here as well, however, Moltres still cannot be caught without status, so I did have to leave that one alone for now. Of course, we do get an achievement for doing everything in here aside from Moltres, and finally we were on to the Indigo Plateau. But before we take on the Elite Four, I literally was missing 2 trainers for Genocide Route. I had fought 219 non-missable trainers, and I don't know why the Elite Four doesn't count, but yeah, I went to go check. I figured one was near Cerulean Cave, and that was correct, and the other was on Route 13, as that route holds a lot of trainers, and I was indeed correct for that as well. This could be a very annoying achievement, but since I battled everyone as I went on, guessing the last 2 wasn't hard at all. Living Item Finder wasn't going to be completed as Cerulean Cave is still a thing, but I should only have 10 left by this point in the game, and instead I have 21. So I'm missing 11 items. That's a lot considering I made sure to grab everything on the way. One was on the bike route in the grass, which was very annoying to find. I looked like an idiot going back and forth. I think one was actually near Route 13, but I didn't record it. I checked Rock Tunnel as this cave isn't a collectathon, but nothing there except wasted time. Then by accident, while I was in the copycat girl's house, we got the second to last TM we were missing. And also, there was a nugget in there. And since the TMs were almost done, I started looking for those as well. But again, I had collected everything. I checked everywhere, even the girl all the way at the top of the Celadon department store. But I already got all of her TMs. So I saw someone mention that if you don't have space in your bag when you beat a gym, then they obviously can't give you their TM. I had already checked some of the later gyms, and I really didn't think that it would be one of the earlier ones. There was no way my bag was full by the second gym, right? right? That took so long, and it did not need to. F this game. Anyways, back with the items, I was just missing one item, and apparently it's here in Vermilion in the water. I would have never gotten that without looking it up. What the hell? From here, I began doing the rest of the in-game trades. Poliwhirl for Jinx, Spearow for Farfetch'd, Slowbro for Lickitung, Nidoran for Nidoran, Abra for Mr. Mime, and Nidorino for Nidorina. Why would they do the same species twice? I have no idea, but we were officially at 100 Pokemon caught, so I went to find some more, including Ditto in the badge check area. And this would lead us to use this Ditto to transform into another Ditto. Missed opportunity to name this achievement Among Us or Imposter. I then caught an Arbok, and finally I decided it was time. Time to fight the Elite Four. I brought Articuno with us as I need him for Drake, just to be sure no one faints. The Elite Four has a series of achievements associated with it. One for obviously beating it, another for beating it with only Virgin exclusives, which is pretty neat, beating it with a level cap of 60 and having nobody faint, which I was going to try to pair with the first run in here, as well as pairing it with a third one, Smogon. Defeating the league with a level cap of 50 on set mode. I think most of these are starting from the entrance, so I can't just save while in the Elite Four. If I fail some of these, I'd have to completely restart. Not that I would, I'd probably just do it over again. Unless I went over the level cap and failed or something. First up is Lorelei, the ice type trainer, but she has a lot of water types as well, so Nuke can just nuke them all with Thunderbolt. And since Nuke is very fast, he's getting crits left and right. Since this game is super easy, we're level 47 just demolishing this woman's team. That is until Lapras comes in, so I switched because like I mentioned, one of the achievements is to not faint, but I just happen to switch into Sprout on a huge blizzard that ends up leaving him at just 6 HP. I don't know how he held on, but from here, Spinner is the one to clutch the fight due to having Recover. Healing outside of battle is fine, so we do that, and Bruno is even easier than Lorelei. In fact, this guy is probably the worst Elite Four member in history. Literally, he has 2 Onyxes instead of, oh, I don't know, a Primate, 2 Machokes, anything really. Anyway, since Spinner learned the TM for Psychic, he can just give everything in here a migraine. Well, aside from the Onyxes, but we have Surf for that. And on we go to Agatha, which is a lot of the same stuff as Bruno. Psychic is super effective against every single one of her Pokemon. Now, I didn't know if I needed Ice Beam or not for later. That's why I brought Articuno and didn't teach Starmie Ice Beam, but regardless, we take on Drake, and since Gyarados is on the field, Nuke takes that out, and Articuno comes in on a brutal crit Hyper Beam, which really blows, but then we just Ice Beam everything in sight. Or we would, but Aerodactyl is super fast, so I switch in Biddy and then tank a Hyper Beam. On his charge turn, I go into Spinner, who gets super unlucky and not only gets crit from Bite, but also flinched. From there, Spinner dodges a takedown, but Dragonite, being 13 levels above us, stands tall, and ultimately, there's nothing we can do. We do try to recover stall him, hardening in between, but a Hyper Beam crit is inevitable. If only I had brought Ice Beam. So we forfeit one of the achievements, and Articuno also goes down. So now I'm just thinking I'm gonna wipe. This is my first run, so I wasn't using items in battle, by my own rule set, and with sheer will and a lot of teamwork, Biddy was able to finish off the battle. And all that's left is Loser. And he will stay true to his name, I promise. Nuke takes out the Pidgeot easy. I foolishly send in Sprout on a Psychic, killing him, but then Twin can revenge kill after multiple turns. Rhydon is, well, a Rhydon, and Twin is back thirsting for blood on Executor. As for the Water Snake and Fire Lizard, Nuke also decimated them with Thunderbolt. Almost died to a crit, but man, is he the MVP right now alongside Spinner. With that, we've completely defeated the game, and with that comes 2 achievements. Pokemon Master for beating the Elite Four, and Smogon, as it doesn't matter if a Pokemon faints or not, just that it's a set mode and a level 50 cap. Beating the Elite Four gives us access to the Cerulean Cave, and in here we get achievements for Mewtwo, as well as catching everything possible in here. Sort of. The fishing encounters for some reason don't count. Also, we need to do it without leaving the cave, so I made sure to stock up on Ultra Balls to not fail this. It was kind of annoying as some Pokemon are harder to catch than others, so I needed to bring potions, and some Pokemon were also a lot rarer than others. One thing I did do was leave a space open in my party, then went down to one of the lower levels where you can find a level 64 Parasect with Spore, so that made catching things a lot easier. And with everything in this set, persistence is key. Hypno was our last Pokemon to catch in this cave, in this area unknown. Staying in Cerulean Cave, I gather the last 10 items in the game, and at last, Item Finder. But we're not quite done just yet. We still have to catch the most broken Pokemon in Kanto, Mewtwo. Look at this godly sprite. I'd be terrified. Oddly enough, with Parasect on the team and Spore, this was insanely easy. With that, we catch the strongest Pokemon ever and get a fair fight for not using the Master Ball. But wait, we're still not out of the cave just yet. I trained Nuke up on random Pokemon since he was the closest to level 50, and by doing that, he's my first first Pokemon to reach level 50 naturally. For some reason, there is no achievement for training a Pokemon to level 100, which I find just odd, as I got one to level 100 eventually anyways. From there, we just get everyone to level 50, and the last Pokemon to hit it in a party of level 50 and up Pokemon will pop halfway party. I was only missing 2 static Pokemon, and since we now have Spore, I went to go catch Zapdos and then Moltres. What I was also close to doing was completing my Pokedex. I had 10 left. I evolved my Eevee into one of the 3 evolutions and started training things like Seal to evolve them. I don't know what's the best way to do this, but what seemed like the best way was just equipping the EXP all and doing E4 runs with Mewtwo and 1 or 2 other Pokemon. No one else in the party. And this way, we're getting money and levels for other achievements. This would also get us all of our version exclusives. In between, I decided to finish up our E4 achievements. If you remember, one was for doing it with 1 Pokemon and Spinner was our man. I had saved all my ethers and elixirs for this. I could have made this easier for me as I did end up teaching Ice Beam later, but regardless, Starmie is just too strong. Psychic and even Surf take out Lorelei and Bruno. Psychic takes out every single Pokemon on Agatha's team, and as for Lance, I should have healed on Dragonair on its recharge turn, as I was having trouble with the Aerodactyl since it's super fast, but regardless, that's down, and with a Psychic and a crit on the second one, Dragonite was down. All that's left was blue. 2 Surfs for Pidgeot, Alakazam couldn't do any damage to us, Rhydon is self-explanatory, and Ice Beam would have been great here against Exeggutor, but with enough recovering and hardening, we were able to outdamage it. With that, Gyarados and Zard fell easy. Spinner don't give a flying fuck. Elite Stomp and Professor Perfect for no Pokemon feigning and level cap at 60 starting at the door. From here, I was only missing 1 Pokemon to complete my dex, and of course, it was Dragonite. I didn't even finish training it, I just used most of my rare candies on it. I feel like Ash Ketchum. The catching wasn't over yet though, as there's still 1 more Elite 4 achievement to go. The version exclusive team. I looked to see who can learn a 1-hit KO move out of all of them, and in red version, it's Arbok. Arbok isn't insanely slow, so with some X speeds, Ethers, X accuracies, and X attacks, for anything that's immune to Fissure, we should be fine. So to avoid any training, I just straight up went to go catch a level 57 Arbok in Cerulean Cave, taught it Fissure, and filled the rest of my party with random version exclusives. They can even be duplicates, it doesn't matter. So I used the rest of the rare candies on Arbok to be level 62, and Lorelei fell after some X accuracies and speeds. This also pops target acquired in the meantime as we hit 5 1-hit KO moves in a row. Then we proceed to stomp Bruno and Agatha. Lance is a bit tricky as he's immune to Fissure on most of his Pokemon, so I had to whip out the Hyper Potions and the X attacks all while trying not to get crit, which did happen. So I had to revive and revive until eventually I could get set up with my speed and attack. I thought Lance would run out of PP on his moves, but he straight up didn't. So like, did he use a PP up? And this man just kept critting too. Thankfully, I think he ran out of Hyper Beams and Hydro Pumps as he was just using Leer and Dragon Rage. No, I lied, he Hyper Beamed Electabuzz. What is going on? Anyways, we did manage to pair us, so now with that and Hyper Beam recharge turns, I did set up and bit everything on his team. Aerodactyl is immune and is resistant to everything, but tell me why Bite did this much first, and then when it got a crit, it did this much. Do crits ignore my own stat changes in Gen 1? And then he proceeded to crit me. Luckily, we did knock it out, and Dragonite was up, getting his defense up with Barrier. Acid does lower defense though, so this wasn't a big issue, especially since he wasn't attacking for some reason. So eventually, the cute dragon falls. All that's left is Loser. I'm sure he's tired of seeing me beat him. I thought there would be an issue with this fight as Pidgeot has Whirlwind, but it straight up doesn't work. What does useful in the wind mean? Anyways, I did the same thing here as Lance's Gyarados, including the Para. So we bite that, Fissure the next 3 Pokemon, and bite everything after that. Not gonna lie, that was kind of annoying. With this, I was only missing 4 achievements to master the entire game. Because I earned so much money from all those runs of the E4, and trust me, there was a lot of runs, I was able to buy a shit ton of coins, and we need this, 1, to not play slots for coins, and 2, because we need to buy every single TM in the game corner, as well as the department store in 1 emulator session. Easy enough, aside from actually buying the coins. Just let me purchase them all at once. Alright, this is the last TM. Well, that was anticlimactic. Fucking bag space, man. Alright, how about now? Nice, Disc Collector 2. 3 achievements left. 1 was for using Metronome to eventually land an explosion. It took over 100 Metronomes, but we did it. Then I did Where's My Ribbon on and off, because it was kind of annoying. Basically, you need to max out one of your stats. This is kind of like EVs, but worse, so it takes a really long time. I tried E4 runs, but I figured just spamming moves on Cerulean Cave Pokemon was faster. Eventually, after many hours on and off, this was mine. All that was left after a month of playing this game was generating 2,000 coins in a single fight with Payday, which can be missable as people have mentioned, as you could just throw this TM away on accident. Anyways, I taught it to Mewtwo and I tried it on Lorelei, but obviously we destroyed her before generating 2,000 coins. Someone mentioned to do it against Bruno, and I was afraid that I was way too high level to get this achievement, and I had already saved after teaching it to Mewtwo, which frightened me. But it indeed worked with Bruno. Thank Arceus. I did not want to restart the whole game. And there we have it. I'm sure he would be proud. Mastered. I guess it took me 55 hours in real time, but on RetroAchievements it says it took me a month to master from the moment I started till now. I did get Mewtwo up to level 100 since he was basically there, and I just wanted to complete the E4 run we were in, and I really don't know why that is not an achievement, but whatever. Man, that was actually fun. I've never completed everything in a Pokemon game like that. Some of these achievements were great, and some were a little annoying, but man, does it feel good to see everything filled out. And it looks even better on the website. Let me know what game to master next. I'm even down to do non-Pokemon games. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and you should try this for yourself. It's pretty fun.